Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 74 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. This was a fun one. We learned a little bit about certain characters, so let's just hop right into it. We start having just left the cave into the forest of Kalutha. The party can see the mountains off in the distance. They know the tree that they're looking for is somewhere near those mountains. Imogen tries to figure out how far away they are from those mountains. A nature check of 15. They're about 25 to 30 miles off as a crow flies, which means on a map that's how far it is. But with the dense forest in front of them, it could probably be anywhere between 2 to 3 days of travel. FCG suggests using the staff to teleport, and they can literally see where they're going. But Imogen thinks that would help, but Chetney would rather walk because the staff has been problems for them. FCG can use their magic to find the safest path. Lana asks if Fern can move them along faster by transforming into a bird and flying them and just moving them in segments like that. Fern suggests turning into a giant frog and jumping forward like they did in the toad that they met before. But they all eventually agree that they're just going to hoof it. Before them is a forest that has a very thick canopy and rocks shooting out from it going through the top of the canopy. Chetney says walking is a good idea over flying, as there are also creatures in the air that could be very dangerous for them. They start moving forward, and Chetney leads the pack with help from Fern. Orm is also on lookout for anything that's suspicious. As they go, Lana takes the Rito out, the little Rito charm they found in the last episode, and reads it using her Eldritch Evocation that she got from leveling up. It reads, my promise to Shutas, my lover, my children, Ro and Shika. Is it Shikage or Shika? My faith in the cycle of destruction and creation endless. My guilt over my father, Giodoba. On top of it is a single name, Ifidola. These names. They always get me. These names. FCG asks what it was used for. Lana says it seems to be something personal and seems to be like some sort of promise between loved ones. FCG asks if the owner's lover could still be alive based on what they know of the people around here's lifespan. FCG asks Chetney to look it over and see if he can tell. With a dirty 20, it looks like it could have been in the nest of the worm creature for a decade or two, so the person who is on the other end of the promise could still be alive. Chetney does a smell check, 16 perception. He smells the usual forest smells and sees small woodland creatures as they move along the forest. There seems to be 2 layers of fog, one above the trees and one 2 feet off the ground in the forest. It's a little bit less thick as they go further down. The first leg of the walk is very uneventful. They see hunting paths that run parallel to the main path that they're on that could be safer, but they choose to stay on the main one as it curves back down into the valley a bit. The path also starts going downhill a bit, and the trees don't go down with the path. They just start getting taller and thicker as they go. Eventually, it starts turning into a true rainforest, blocking the sunlight out. They have a few more hours of daylight left from their memory. Orm hears what sounds like calls coming from all around them as they're walking. He sees 3 massive boar-like creatures rushing through the forest near them until they are no longer visible. Fern thinks about using paths without a trace, but it'll slow them down, so they choose to save it for later. New survival check from Chetney, 13 with guidance, not very good. At this point, Matt asks Travis to roll a d6, and he gets a 2. After a short trek, they hear a rushing water and come across a river going through the forest, going downhill towards the center of the valley. It's 15 feet wide. It's not super fast, but it does certainly have a current to it. Lana puts a stick in it at the edge, closer to the bank of the shore. It's about 3 feet deep, but towards the middle it completely drops off, getting way deeper. Orm leaps over, using his jumping abilities, with a rope in hand and a movable rod in the other. Ashton has the other end of the rope, and they use it to make an immovable rod rope bridge that they can use to get across. While they're setting this up, Chetney fishes into the river and gets a massive trout. He looks it over and it seems healthy and then just elects to kill it because they're going to eat it later. He gets another one while he's doing this as well. Ashton asks if Pate can go into the water and splash around a bit as bait. Lana asks him if he can swim around for her. He says yes, of course, and they toss him in on the end of the fishing line. The others start to cross the rope. Group athletics check. Imogen just decides to Missy step across because that is way safer. Lana tries to tightrope across because she's not very strong, so acrobatics is better than athletics, but she rolls a 7. FCG is ready with a grapple shot, but unfortunately misses. Back to the group athletics check. Fern a 19, Chetney a 13, Ashton a 31, FCG a 14. Lana lands in the water, and it's ice cold, but for her it's not that bad. Now she needs to make an athletics check. Imogen tries to pull her using telekinesis. She rolls a 22 on the check, but Lana rolled real bad, and she goes under the water. Ashton, after letting everyone else cross the rope bridge, turns off the immovable rod of their hammer, and keeping the rope tight, they run and swing and jump into the water, letting go of the rope, breaking 5 feet off of it, and makes it to Lana. He's now trying to get them both to shore. Orem, using Seedling, attaches a vine to Ashton's back. Ashton, with advantage, rolls a 18 athletics check. With that, they're able to get to the edge of the river, where there's now ground for them to step on. Everyone else sees something rise out of the water behind them, however. It's got a deep gray hide to it. It's very muscular and has massive horns. It looks like a massive hippopotamus. Ashton rages. Fern uses her Stonky's ring to pull Ashton and Lana out of the water. It's a telekinesis ring and very strong. It's like 1,000 pounds or something, which she picked up in fucking EXU, which was super early levels, which is broken. But now that they're at this point in the game, it's not that big of a deal. The hippo tries to gore the two of them as they are pulled out, but misses. The hippo then tries to come out of the water after them. There's 3 more smaller ones behind it. FCG casts Speak with Animals. They say they mean them no harm. The hippo just simply says fuck off. FCG asks if they can leave. The hippo says don't come any closer, fuck off. FCG tries to tell the hippo it doesn't need to use that sort of language, but the rest of the party pull them away so a fight doesn't break out. The small hippos behind her, or the big one, cheer for their mother, as they're very happy for what she did. The party choose to let Fern leave this time, and she rolls a much better survival of 26. She thinks that traveling near the river might keep them safe from other things inside the forest. Eventually, it gets way too dark for them to continue. They look for a good place to rest up, and Fern finds a tree that's been split by lightning. She uses part of it to make a A-shaped tent like they did at the other island, and she uses plant growth to do so. The party want FCG to cook the fish, but FCG isn't sure how long to cook it, so it takes 2 hours for FCG to slow cook it. As the night continues, it gets super, super cold. At this point, the fish is done, and it's more like fish jerky than a fish fillet, which is fucking nasty sounding to me. Chetney and Ashton take the first watch. Chetney rolls a perception check of 15. No advantage as Ashton cannot see. It's super quiet right now, mostly just insects, which causes Chetney to think about his past a little bit. At this point, Lana takes 9 necrotic damage and Orem takes 6. Chetney and Ashton finish their watch and they go back inside, and they swear they see shadows moving a bit inside the tent. Chetney ignites his chisel. There are stretched, thin shadows lurking over the bodies of Orem and Lana. They look like wraiths of some kind, and they wake the others up. Orem and Lana feel a little bit colder than everyone else, which is odd for Lana. Imogen tries to talk to them, but she gets a feeling of needing to be warm from these creatures. As the standoff holds for a few moments, the shadows return to leaning back towards Orem and Lana. FCG casts light, but it doesn't do anything. Orem gets in front of Lana to protect her. Lana asks if they can understand her, and Shadow can't. They all look at her and sort of stop for a second, but more start to creep into the tent behind them. Lana tries to make a light for them, but they don't care about it. They want human warmth, or humanoid warmth. She extends her hand out, almost letting one of them touch it, and as they do, Lana casts Chilled Touch instead. She rolls 11 damage and kills this wraith, or shadow, outright. FCG then casts Turn Undead. Ashton grabs Laudna and sort of pushes her to the ground to sort of block the Turn Undead. The shadows all run. Chetney looks outside and sees more shadows everywhere, moving away from the tent. Chetney gathers materials to start a fire. Ashton doesn't think that that's the answer, as they seem to want human warmth. They believe someone will just be having to deal with them outside as everyone else tries to sleep. FCG suggests someone being a sacrificial lamb to the shadows to siphon them off, and the party thinks that is a horrible idea, as do I. FCG can stay up and use Turn Undead if need be. They can't see, so the party make a fire for them. Laudna stays up with them. They see no shadows creep in during their watch, and they finish their watch with no issues. They wake up Fern and Imogen. Imogen opens her mind to see if she hears anything, and gets a natural 20 on a perception check for 24. She looks beyond the plant growth and sees the shadows lurking in the distance off in the away from the tent. The darkness lessens as day is now started, or at least it lessens as much as it can, and the shadows all disappear. Chetney uses Shadow's Bane to see if there's any undead feeling around them. Perception check of 16, nothing seems to be undead near them, with the exception of Laudna, but, you know. Now morning, they think it'll be a full day's travel for them to reach the tree, or at least they're hoping. Fern leads again, 19 survival check. They move deeper into the forest. They see bright colors on the vines and leaves and everything around them. She knows normally that means the plants are trying to draw you in, but she tells the party they're fine. Chetney asks if she wants one of these plants to put in her hair. She says yes. He goes to get a purple one for her. The party think that they should stop him, but they don't. He goes up and grabs one with no issues. He hands it to Fern and she puts it in her shirt, as she thinks it might be dangerous to put near her head. She rolls another survival check. At this point, the party can hear more and more birds. Imogen wonders if they are good or bad sounding birds, but rolls really low. Fern's check is 24 for survival. She leads them to a basin of water that will lead them to the base of the mountain at some point. They travel around the basin. Orm rolls a 27 perception check, sort of just to keep watch and everything around them. As they go, Orm sees a different colored ground that's about 8 to 10 feet across. It goes from green to brown. It seems a little odd and out of place. They think it could be a hunting trap of some sort. Orm doesn't see anyone watching it. Laudna rolls investigation to see if it is in fact a hunter's trap, and with a 17, it definitely seems to be one. Laudna pulls out Pate. Chetney uses Grim Psychometry and gets a 20 on a history check. He doesn't gather any tragedies or dark history here, just the occasional feeling of cold, which is likely from the shadows when the night falls. Orm tries to see if this is a red herring for something else. With a 21 perception, he doesn't seem to find anything that seems to be one. They think they should be on the lookout for people from now on, as what monster would do this. Ashton looks for tracks, and with a 20 survival check, looking around a bit, he does find foot traffic that looks to be a few days old. Some of the party want to spring the trap, some don't. Imogen throws a rock into it, and the trap partly falls. They hear a crash, and then an impact, and then another crash. It seems to be a 2-part fall spike trap. You know, the classic. The party question what kind of creature they're trying to fucking catch with this thing, as do I. That sounds brutal. They choose to continue onward, though. Another survival check from Fern for 30. She leads on and sees many more of these traps as they go, and she points them out as they walk past them. More floor traps, some net traps, and some snares. Some of these snares are massive. Fern tells the others that she sees all this as they go. The basin eventually comes to an end, and there's the base of the mountain, the first mountain of this island of 3. It's about mid-afternoon at this point, and they can see the sun again a little bit through the fog. FCG questions to use locate creature or locate object on the tree, as they don't know if it's a creature or an object. They could use the find path spell, but they need something from the location. The party wonder if Ashton will work as, the sort of focus for that. Ashton doesn't think it will, but FCG decides to cast it and uses Ashton as a focus to find the path to the tree. They open up their mind to the Changebringer and they focus on Ashton, and the spell dissipates. It doesn't work. FGG gets mad for the spell being wasted. Orm hears a snap of a tree branch behind them. Orm turns and sees 5 figures moving towards the party. He tells the others. As he does, one of them seems to shout something that they don't understand. And the 5 figures jump out with longbows made of the same woe steel that they found in the worm's nest. They're wearing cloaks that are made to blend into the forest. One of the figures says something. FGG casts tongues. She says, "Drop your weapons," and the party does. They see that she has very feminine features, and she begins to stare at the party looking for leadership. She locks eyes with FGG as they sort of were the ones to acknowledge what they said. And they ask who they are and how they got here in common. Imogen reiterates the name Ifidola, the name on the locket or the rito. The woman asks what of them. Orm says they have an offering, and he asks if he can grab it. 2 bows aim at him. He slowly reaches for the rito and hands it over to her. He tells them where they got it. She says it belongs to Temir's father. He isn't here, but he'll be grateful to get it back. Orm says there are visitors here and tells them that they are looking for the tree of Antavir. She asks why. Ashton says for themselves, as he is one of Titan blood. He says that he's Ashton Greymore of the Hishari, and he's looking for answers. They don't seem to know what the Hishari are. They ask if they know where they are going. The party says no, they have no clue. She says they must be either extremely skilled or extremely lucky to get it this far. The party agree. Imogen says Keyleth sent them here. And then she sort of reiterates and says that Jirana sent them here recently as they met up with her. The woman says that she is aware of the shore shrew. Ashton asks if they could get help to get them there. Persuasion check of 9. The woman won't help them, but she also won't stop them from where they're going. Imogen asks if they can get... Imogen asks if they got more of these sort of woe steel weapons in Orm's head. Orm decides to give the weapons over. Imogen asks how these people seem to deal with the shadows. She says to keep your convictions close. The hunters begin to head out, telling them to stay safe, and the party question what she meant by keep your convictions close. Maybe it has something to do with the Rito, as it was sort of written as some sort of belief. The party questioned the owner of the Rito, as the name she told them did not match the names on it. But they didn't ask, so they don't get the answers. Imogen chooses to cast Fly on herself so she can see above the canopy and hopefully see the tree from up there. She flies up to the top of the mountain and sees 2 other mountains lay beyond it, as there are 3 here. She rolls a perception check to see if she can see the tree. She rolls a 4 and thinks the best path to go might be to follow the base of the mountain, but she chooses to fly back down and gets Orm, as he is much better at seeing things. He rolls a 25. He sees the canopy of forest drops off around the base of the mountain, meaning they'll run out of forest before reaching the mountains. They fly around the mountains and they can see the 3 mountains form a triangle, and in the middle seems to be darkness. It's like a sinkhole or something. They return to the others and inform them what they saw, and think that the hole is where the tree is. Fern leads the way. She rolls a 28, guiding the party through a safe path where they see more rivers heading downwards toward this sinkhole. The forest ends and they come to a chasm. It's about 100 feet across, or it could be more. There doesn't seem to be any way to get down there. Orm looks down, 21 perception. He can't see how far down it goes as it turns to pitch black. He sees it does eventually start to pinch in, so it's not totally sheer all the way down. Imogen and Lana wonder if Featherfall will work to get them down. FGG questions them going down there in the first place, but Imogen says that they think the tree is down there. Ashton wonders if the hole moves with the island, as they all move in the Shattered Teeth. Lana wonders if it's a portal to somewhere else. Imogen sends her dancing lights 200 feet down using some of her sorcery points, but after that, it still goes down further into darkness. Lana goes to throw a ball bearing down, but FCG casts light on it first so they can see exactly how far it goes. Lana throws it and gets a natural 20 on a strength check to see how far it can go. As she gets closer to the hole, she feels a strong energy come from it. She throws it, and it goes 400 feet and then vanishes in the darkness, which is fucking crazy. Lana and Imogen are still on the Featherfall idea. Chetney questions if there's even a ground to land on for it. The party suggests using pate, but Lana and Imogen are kind of against this idea because they keep fucking abusing the guy, which is very true. Stop hurting pate, man. What are you doing? Imogen at this point actually holds pate and apologizes for shaking him the other day for missing the worm. Lana wonders if Pate feels anything off about this place, as they're both kind of undead, and she wonders if he feels it too. But Pate isn't quite sure if he feels off. He's not sure if he feels things. Sad. Lana thinks about it herself. It feels familiar, but strange as well. The party just want to jump in now. They go over the plan again. Imogen and Fern can fly during using various methods. The others can use Featherfall, and if that goes wrong, they can use the rope and the two immovable rods like they did before. Chenny questions if the tree is even down there. Fern says that they say that the tree is a vessel of sorrow. Maybe the hole is a part of that and sort of, supposed to be like a black hole of sorrow. They question if they should make their own convictions and write them down somewhere to remind them as to why they're doing this. The party like this idea. FCG asks if the party want them to ask the Changebringer. Chetney says yes. FCG tosses a coin and asks if they'll die if they jump. The coin lands on tails, which means no. They start to run and jump off together. I'm so ready for another Keyleth moment at this point. The party hear the wind rush past their face as they're beginning to fall down. They look up and see the circle of daylight begin to vanish above them. They see the walls begin to close in. The lights ahead of them suddenly see some texture. Imogen casts Fly, which makes the dancing lights dissipate. Laudna casts Featherfall on Chetney, Ashton herself, Orm, and FCG. Fern turns into a shoebill, which does in fact fly. They begin to drift down. The lights vanish, like I said before. FCG now uses their headlights to sort of shine on the ground. They see black leaves on the ground beneath them. The five suddenly hit the leaves, and they realize that this is a massive tree. They catch themselves in the tree branches. The bark texture is strange and has some sort of maroon color to it. FCG looks to see if the branches all lead to a base of a tree. 27 perception check. They see that they are on the thin branches of the tree, and they see thicker ones connect to it and eventually lead to the base of the massive tree. Imogen grabs Laudna and they begin to fly down. Chetney brings out his chisel and Ashton tells him not to chisel away pieces of the tree. Fern carries people down as well. Imogen needs to make an acrobatics check to move herself and Laudna through the branches. She rolls a 10 as she's being guided by Laudna because it's pitch black down here. Imogen can't see without dark vision, and because of this, with that 10, she gets smacked by a tree branch. She doesn't lose concentration, however, and they eventually land at the bottom. They break free from the branches. There's only about 5 feet of space between the branches and the ground. And the ground is more like a floor of roots that seem to be endless. There's a bunch of things that are inside the roots: skulls, instruments, gemstones, clothing, all sorts of stuff. Imogen asks if Laudna is alright. She is, as long as she keeps Imogen in her mind. FCG and Ashton look up. They can still see the hole in which they jumped in, but barely. Imogen sends dancing lights up again to help guide the other people down, as she won't be able to both fly and have these lights. Chetney's making his own way down. No problem. He very quickly learns the pattern of the branches here. Ashton follows Chetney down. FCG hops on Fern. Fern chooses to pachinko herself down with FCG instead of, flying. But she does make her way down without any issues, and she doesn't take any damage as well, which is odd. Orm eventually climbs down as well with the help of the dancing lights. Everyone sees a lot of skulls, some even hanging from the lower branches. With them are art pieces, keepsakes, wood carvings, all the sorts. Orm looks to see if the stuff here is from different cultures. Investigation check of 19. There are many cultural pieces here, clothes, weapons, and many from many other places in Exandria. He tries to find something that would have been left here by Keyleth, but he remembers that Keyleth didn't come here, but was merely told of the tree by the Shore Shrew. Chenny goes over to one of the wooden crafts he sees within this tree. It seems to be an egg-shaped bear. It's not attached to the tree. He touches it and uses grim psychometry on it. 15 history check. He senses this object once belonged to a soldier that accepted the demise of their innocence, which is, strange. Ashton walks around the tree looking for a part of it that seems to be aware. Perception check 11. It just kind of looks like a tree. FCG casts Detect Thoughts on it. Imogen opens her mind to it. They both feel consciousness from it, but they can't push very deep inside of it. Ashton goes to touch it. FCG gives them a enhance ability spell, and Fern gives them a guidance. Ashton says he is of Titan blood, and cuts his hand open and puts the blood on the tree. They all hear the sound of thousands of leaves move, and the tree begins to move and shift, as if it's waking up. Where Ashton's hand is, the bark splits and a white, milky eye opens up and looks around for a second, and off to the side a bit more, a second one does as well. They see a stretched face that seems to be carved into the tree. Its nose is long and curled down, and it has a twisted frown. The branches almost form hands that block the party's sides, but not the back. It asks what Ashton seeks. He says that he is the child of the Hishari, and seeks what they are owed and who they are. They hear words coming from the tree, but the mouth does not move. The eyes focus on Ashton. The tree says, as it was fated, it says that Ashton is the son of Eventrin, the leader of the Hishari, a broken man with a burning purpose who came to the tree as he felt the world owed something. He claimed visions throughout his life that promised greatness, a fated path that would leave his mark on history. He was not wrong. The tree let him see into his future and showed him the relic that was fated, that he was fated to own, that he would use to usher in a renewed ancient power. He showed him the way to Temordia, where the relic was uncovered and waiting. His ambition met his destiny, and he recovered his artifact, this remaining shard of Kamort, the primordial empress of Earth, a lingering remnant of her power. He thought his destiny was to use it himself, but he was wrong. The tree granted him this knowledge because he was meant to take it and meant to create and destroy the Hishari, meant to destroy himself, and meant to create Ashton. Ashton was his destiny, but in his arrogance he could not see beyond his own ambitions as it was fated. And now Ashton returns to the tree, as the tree foresaw, to find another piece of history's sorrow. The unity that twice brought judgment to Exandria's children. It then asks if they know who he is. The party say Avantravir. He says that was the name that he was given. He says he was the one who helped the people of Temordia as their legacy turned to ash. He saved the few that he could, and he still carries with him the ones that he could not. Imogen asks who he was before. He says it's hard to remember. He was a guardian. They recall that he was a savior, or a surviving member of the Gaujashari, which is like the ancient ancestors of the Hishari. Sorry, the Ushari. God damn, these names. Ashton asks if he smokes and takes out the pipe that would show his greatest heroic moment, and asks if the tree wants to smoke it. The tree says that he finds himself curious about this. Ashton steps up and says he doesn't believe in destiny, and he wants to, he doesn't believe in destiny, but he wouldn't crush it if it sort of stood in front of him. The tree says he lives through destiny. His roots reach through the skins of fate. Ashton says a lot of people are talking about his fate. He says he's a nobody and has been his whole life. There's power in that. And it's now time for the tree to be a small man. You big fuck. He puts the pipe in its mouth and the tree breathes in and then it blows out. A bunch of smoke turns into people As they're running, they are caught and brought to the tree and vanish behind it. Ashton wishes to be great like that one day. The tree says he'll have to wrestle with big choices soon enough, and he'll have to be someone soon. He says there are no nobodies that come this far to see him. Ashton says to show him. A spark of Raushan burns in the heart of the Cayman Maw, a volcanic mass in the islands of Igluthudus. Hopefully I said that name right too. Within the side of the Athos Peak. It is the tree's destiny to show Ashton the way. The tree says to be careful, as holding the strength of the two in one vessel might sunder it. Ashton bears the dormant strength of the Empress, find it and restore the might of the Emperor. He says their time is short and asks why they've come and looks over to the rest of the party. Chetney asks if he knows of the Red Moon. He has seen it, and its thread comes together to a tangle that they've all been moving towards their entire lives. They are that tangle, and they are bound to this journey. I am the gateway and the boundary. I am one of numerous passageways into the realms of death and renewal. My roots reach into the skin of destiny, and I can see what paths can be taken, some harder to deviate from than others. I am the balance of the enemies of the natural cycle of life, and one of the many caretakers of fate in Exandria itself. Some come to seek a meeting with ones they've lost. Some come to see their own deaths. Some come to seek direction, a glimpse at their fate, and hope for opportunity. Not all find what they want. Many find what they are meant to do. What do you seek? Imogen asks how to stop Predathos. He says not all answers are clear, but you all walk the path together. Their tangle is what can undo the enemy's plan, if that's what they wish. Their journey puts them on a particular path to guide the future of the gods. He asks what they believe in, and if it is right for the world. FGG asks if he can see what would happen to the world if the gods weren't saved. The air goes cold around them. For a second, they all see a shared vision. They see the bloody bridge widen, and the sky cracks. Impossible beings step from the heavens, and they run from the unending red. They see the blue and green of the world of Exandria lay bare. Lana asks what of the Titans. He says he's unsure if the gods are good or bad, but the Titans are gone, and what is left behind is what was before. They aren't makers, more shapers. He wonders if the way the gods are perceived is done by them or by the people. Orem asks how to stop the people from being caught in this war. The tree says he cannot tell you what is right. Your convictions guide your path. Your choices can change where the threads pull you. What he offers is the knowledge of what can end the path, but not all take the knowledge well. Imogen asks how they can defeat lewdness. He says they already walked that path. He breathes in again, and they see a spark inside Ashton and a flame off in a distant cavern. They see a war, the bloody bridge, and the moon. This is the path they have chosen. Follow your convictions or change them. I can't tell you what is right. FGG asks for a way to tell them when they're ready to achieve their goal. He says to look for trust and to look to each other. He says lewdness should be stopped. Not all disagree with his reasonings. There are hard decisions as they get closer to their destination. Chetney asks how to get to the island that he was pointing them towards. Ashton then says that the tree is a gateway. The tree's eyes look past the party. He says they're being watched. They all turn and they see a blue eye appear, and it shatters. He tells them that they must hurry. His bark begins to split, and a doorway opens, and they can see snow beyond. They rush through the doorway. They instantly feel cold, as the snow is all around them. They stand near a mountain range with mist surrounding it. They're very high up. They can hear the door close behind them. They turn around and see another mountain behind them as well. On it is a space where the ice and snow doesn't seem to touch it. Beyond that, they just see mist around it. They can hear a sky whale as it flies past the mountain range near them. The party questions what they just saw and where they're going, and that's where the episode ends. And there you have it, episode 74 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. This was a fun one. Definitely kind of a low point for the 3/4 of this episode. The last hour was amazing. The first 3 hours was kind of slow. I wish there was like a combat section in there instead of like the shadow thing happening, because that was almost kind of pointless, if you know, because nothing happened with it after the turn undead, which sure is the reward for using something to turn the undead away. But at the same time, I kind of would have rather there'd been like some sort of fight, you know, something to sort of break up the long bits of travel and nothing happening. Yes, they did meet the Ascended Host, which was cool, but we didn't get that much from them yet. And I'm hoping we get to. We're still in the Shattered Teeth after all, on this snow-capped mountain. So hopefully we get to come across them more. Maybe we get to see the other group of people who live here. Who knows? Overall, this is a really good episode. I enjoyed it. But I do think there was a handful of low moments in this one. It was the first time in a long time where I've been like, there's a couple of low moments here. So that's always good. And hopefully we go up from here. Or maybe we just stay on the level at the end of this episode, because the end of this episode was awesome. The minute they got to the hole of darkness, it was sick. Really good stuff. So yeah, overall, really enjoy this one. Before I go, actually, there is one more thing I want to say, and that is we hit 500 subscribers, which is crazy. I haven't talked about subscribers in a long time, because realistically, I felt like it got annoying. Like, you know, I think I hit like 300 and mentioned it like, oh, I'm at 100. Oh, I'm at 150. Oh, I'm at 200. And I kept doing that. So I feel like now I'm just going to mention it when we get to like milestones like this. 500 is halfway to 1,000. Math. But very excited for that. It's really cool. And, you know, just the image of like 500 people in a room is a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. So, yeah, just want to say thanks for helping hit 500. We're actually like 510 right now, so that's really cool. So yeah, thank you. I'll see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.